Welcome to East Tennessee Pinball. Today, Django is going to fix a Gottlieb 300. Well, maybe not. He'd like to. Little Joe gets jelly. He jumps in my lap if I give Django too much loving. Anyway, well, let's get over to the game. This game came in. Main problem was it wouldn't end the game. So you'd get to play ball 5, and it would just run on forever. Just the motor kept running and running. So, it's a Gottlieb, so you figure it's probably the AX or BX, because these are always the problem in these games. I'm exaggerating, but I mean, only a little bit. The problem with these is the throw is really, really tiny on these. So they latch. The one pulls that down, and the other one pulls that back. And you see how little they move. So they have to be adjusted very precisely. Very easily get out of adjustment. So I looked at the schematics real quickly, and I saw that the AX was involved. I just not randomly, I saw that it was involved, and I figured there's a good chance that was it. That was it. That fixed that problem. The other problem is the game was just kind of the owner said the game was played kind of lethargically. I'm looking at some of the stuff. The power coming in is wire nut. So somebody replaced this power cord, but they didn't solder it in. So I mean, that wire, it actually has been soldered. So the wire nut's falling off of it. Probably these other ones. Any case, I don't know. I may go ahead and solder those on to the transformer like it should be. Looking at the flippers, the bushings were just pretty awful. The flipper shafts, if I get one, there we go. Drop some stuff. If I stick this flipper shaft down in there, get that nut off there. It's hard to see it, but there's actually a fair amount of play, and even more so if you can see down in there all that black gunk. So somebody has probably tried to lubricate these with something, and it just attracts dirt. These things should be dry. Anytime you got metal or nylon on a pinball machine, don't lubricate it. For most things, don't lubricate it. So these are going in the trash bin. Already put the new ones in there, and these will go in the parts washer, get cleaned up. I'm gonna dump all these parts out, and by the way, I'll go ahead and put new plastics on there so they'll look nice. One of these had a fair amount of slop in it. Not that one. This other one here. See, I'm wiggling. It's got the slop right there. It's not extreme, but it's not. I've already got the part out, so I'm going to go ahead and swap those out. So just a matter of that piece there. It's like $1.50. Just about punching those pins out. I've got another video showing how to do that. And yeah, put in new sleeves. And these cleaned the inner stroke switches with a file. Clean the flipper switches with a file. And those flippers are going to flip a lot better than they did. After we get done with that, get this thing going again, I'm going to check out the pop bumpers. Depending on how well they play, I may disassemble the pop bumpers, pull them away from the plate. Just basically take this whole unit here off and disassemble all the moving parts, put them in the parts washer, clean them out, put a new sleeve in there, and that should make sure the switch is clean, that the spoon touches, and that should clean those things up. The Slingshots, nobody ever pays any attention to these Slingshots. The reason I know that is because I do, and when I look at them, when I pull these off, and I pull them off pretty regular, the sleeves are like, more times than not, like they look like the original ones. Nobody ever services them. I shouldn't say nobody. I'm sure there's somebody saying I do, but a lot of people do not. These feel pretty mucky, frankly. There's a lot of friction. So I'll pull those off, put clean that plunger, and put a new sleeve in it. It's really just a matter of getting rid of the friction is what it's all about, cleaning things up. And so we'll see after I do all that, we'll see how it plays. All right, so I went ahead and took off the first pop bumper. I figured the game's here. So normally there's 5 things to take off, and same, there's the nut on either side that holds the pop ring on. And normally there'd be 5 more nuts, but this one's got screws because it's old. So anyway, just takes a second to take these things off. To make these things, to tear them apart, to clean them just so that it works better, doesn't require doing anything with the lamp socket. It's just tearing it down from the bottom. So it's actually pretty easy to do. Now if you want to put new plastic on the top, that's when you get into having to replace the lamp socket. That takes a little bit more time. Okay, it's free now, so it's just a matter of pulling this off of the, there we go. So now I'm just going to disassemble this mechanism here so we can put this thing in the parts washer, all the moving parts that is. Basically everything but the coil. So it's, you see inside in that sleeve, it is quite filthy. That sleeve is not quite something to come out. I'm gonna have to get my tool and get it out. By the way, this is a pretty great tool to get these sleeves out. Just make sure you support from the bottom so you don't blow the coil up when you're hammering on it. There. Yeah, that coil sleeve was nasty. I don't know if you can see inside of there, but it's disgusting. So yeah, that's going to work a lot better. So all these goodies, they're all going to go in the parts washer. I've got the Jane can follow me around there. We'll throw them in there. I've already got the flipper mix already in there. These are the flippers, so they look all clean. I have not replaced the nylon, the fiber links yet, so I'm getting ready to do that. I just wanted to get them cleaned up before I go monkeying with them. Okay. So I got all the work done on the back on the playfield. Got my new flippers put in there, new bushings, put new sleeves in the Slingshots, rebuilt the pop bumpers. All that's done. I went ahead and pulled the playfield out just because I was wanting to deal with all these wire nuts. I noticed there's a couple more over here. Somebody's, you know, done a repair. That's the same color wires there. I don't know if it got chopped off or something. They spliced this in there, but I'm gonna get rid of those wire nuts. And then there's this with the electrical tape. There's generally, underneath electrical tape is almost always a nightmare. Yeah. Is that just twisted together? I can't. No, it is actually soldered. And then electrical tape, and then another, like, what's the point of that little 1-inch piece there? Oh, that's a different one. No, that is, wait. No, that's a different one. Yeah. So those two got chopped off somehow or another. So anyway, I'll fix those. So back to this thing over here. So somebody has, I think I figured out what's going on here. Somebody probably put in a new power cord. Somebody that probably didn't want to solder. Not just making sure, looking over the cabinet, make sure it's unplugged. And they probably put wire nuts on here, here, and here for the 3 wires, and that wire nut just fell off. Well, actually, it was probably still in there. And then somebody else probably came back here and decided, well, I'm going to fix this a little bit better, and went ahead and put solder on the connections that put the wire nuts on. The wire nuts won't really stay on a soldered connection because they can't really bite into it. So these other ones are also soldered. It doesn't make any sense that somebody would twist tie these in the solder, because like this one, it just goes to that tab of the fuse holder. So if you're gonna go ahead and solder, there's no point of having that. So I'm guessing it was 2 different people. One person put the wire nut, and then somebody else came back and soldered it. For the second person, I'm talking to you. If you're gonna do that, just undo the wire nut and then just solder it there. So I'm gonna do that now, or in a little bit. But before I get to that, I'm going to show you the last thing. So I had the playfield in there, and it was playing, and it was actually playing pretty good. Oh, one last thing, I went ahead and high tapped this game, kind of pep it up a little bit more. I know not everybody likes that, but you know, I don't have a problem with it. On an older game, it'll pep things up, especially these ones that were pre-rectifiers, so they've got AC voltage going to the flippers and the pop bumpers. It's you know, a few years later they started putting rectifiers and had DC voltage, and it really pepped them up. So anyway, I was playing it, and it was playing a lot better. I got to turn it on here. I plug it in. It was playing, and well, shoot, I'm gonna have to put in the playfield to show you this next part. All right, so before I put the playfield in, I had to go ahead and resolder all the stuff. So I have to do it twice. So there's that one. Just, you know, just took everything out, resoldered it, put heat shrink on there. It looks a little bit more professional. Got rid of all the wire nuts, everything just soldered in place. So that's all done. So I'm gonna put the playfield in. I'm gonna show you the last little bit. All right, I got the playfield in. I'm gonna boot it up. You know, tell me if you know what's wrong with this game. Well, at least one big thing. It's playing a lot better. But there's one main thing that's missing. Well, if I could hit a shot, it would make it a little easier. You might have caught it then. It's playing much better, but if you notice, there's no 10-point chime. That should be, see, the 10 points are going, but no 10-point chime. 100-point chime, there's a 1,000-point chime, but no 10-point chime. And that really just makes the play game just not quite as much fun. So, you know, there's a lot of things that could cause a 10-point chime to go out. I've already figured what this one was. I'll just cut to the chase. It's kind of a moment when you figure it out and you kind of have a craving for mustard and biscuits. If that means anything to you, you can explain it to everybody else. So first off, let me. I went through all the things. I was like, what the heck? This thing just won't work. So let me hook up my little light bulb tool and I'll show you. So to start, I tried ohming out the coil, and it was 12 ohms just like the other was. It was fine. I checked the 10-point relay in the back. It was fine. Everything's good. And so what I've hooked up here is there's the 10-point coil for the chime unit, and I've got hooked up basically these 4 bulbs in series. So that's about appropriate for, those are 6 volts a piece, so you got 24 volts. This game's pretty close to that. So I'm gonna reach over here and click a 10-point switch, and So that coil's definitely getting power. So it's not, so the problem is in the coin unit. So I took this thing over and flipped it upside down, and that's what I saw. 2 plungers. The other one, it's either completely missing or maybe it's stuck inside of there. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm guessing maybe it's missing. See, that nut is different than the other ones. I'm guessing somebody wanted to silence this thing down a little bit. They took them off and lost one, stuck this one on there. That's the story that the nuts are telling me. So I'm going to pull this off and we'll find out what's inside. Yeah, Carl says it ain't got no gas. I'm looking down there, it's empty. So somebody just took that sucker out of there. Well, that's an easy fix, because I got one of those floating around here somewhere, and I'll throw that in there and we'll have a 10-point chime. Well, folks, I put this chime bar in there, and some of y'all, or chime plunger, and y'all may realize that didn't work. This is the one that was next to it. So this is from a Bally, this is from a Gottlieb. Obviously the Gottlieb ones are longer. And basically when it's sitting in there, say the coil is up like this, with the taller one, it's got enough of it exposed up inside of it that it can pull it up. And with this one, it wouldn't. So if I manually held that up with my finger, kind of pushed it up to where it is in the coil, it'd work. So I've got to get I don't have another one of these sitting here. So I'm gonna have to order one of these. But anyway, so it's fixed short this part. I'll be calling Steve here in a moment. And or the next time I order from him, I'll get another one. So I'm gonna put this together, except for putting on this 10-point chime unit, and otherwise it's good. I'll probably do another video. I'll play video of this in a little bit, and or in a week or so once I get apart. And until then, take care. Hope you like the videos, and please subscribe. Adios.